Acting weird, the stewardess lady was acting weird, and I just felt something off. I got up to like, yo, we should leave. You know what I mean? I got up and walked to the door and then like
crazy
to see if the cars were still there, and I'm like, because I was gonna be like, yo, let's just go off this plane.
After the release of Legends Never Die Deluxe, the fans found footage of Juice WRLD alive. Even one rapper wrote, "Juice WRLD has gotta be alive, man. How does this legend have so many unreleased songs? I low-key think that he is hiding out, recording somewhere." Which is when fans began sharing this disturbing IG live from Ali Lottie, where she would say during it, "You guys really think Juice passed from that? You're wrong. You're wrong. Literally, you are wrong. There's a lot of stuff you guys don't even know." This resulted in footage of what fans believe was recorded recently of Juice WRLD. Or even when fans looked up Juice WRLD's friend Clever's album cover, who's not only featured in the album, but if you look at the first letter of every song, it spells Juice WRLD is, then with the final song on the album being titled Alive. But when you investigate the official police records of Juice's death, you actually start to notice the holes in the story. As on December 8th, 2019, Juice WRLD, alongside his girlfriend Ali, his filmer and security, were all boarding a private jet and flying into Chicago. While boarding the plane that was already late for around an hour, everything felt very odd and suspicious to Juice WRLD's friends, and it was for one reason.
Acting weird, the stewardess lady was acting weird, and I just felt something off. I got up to like, yo, we should leave. You know what I mean? I got up and walked to the door and then like
crazy
to see if the cars were still there, and I'm like, because I was gonna be like, yo, let's just go off this plane right now. Like,
surveillance video shows that the pilot was the first one on the plane. Putting down his own luggage and lunch, he was awaiting Juice WRLD and his company's arrival. When they finally showed up and began boarding the plane, the pilot could immediately smell a very strong scent of narcotics, which resulted in the pilot waiting for Juice WRLD and company to all get onto the private jet, where he would then sneak out of the cockpit of the airplane, call law enforcement, creating a massive tip and setup on Juice WRLD. The feds would tell the pilot to continue the flight as usual. As on the private jet, there was multiple illegal items. There was 70 pounds of extracurricular items that were vacuum sealed and stuffed into a suitcase. There was 2 firearms with high-capacity magazines, alongside many illegal items found within Ali Lottie's handbag, as this made many blame the pilot for Juice WRLD's passing, including Ali Lottie herself.
I've lost 2 of the most important people in my life because of snitches.
The flight was going normal as usual. This was, however, until arriving in Chicago, reaching the point where you're allowed to turn off airplane mode on your phone. With around 5 minutes left in the air, Juice's team would begin receiving spam messages from Juice's team that are waiting in the airport.
everything was normal and everything was fine. And once we started getting closer to Chicago and we started getting service on our phones, our security guard, Hen, texted the group chat and was basically like, cops are here and they have a dog.
As it was this moment where everyone would begin to panic. While doing so, Juice WRLD would consume items that were stored in Ali Lottie's handbag. As according to police records, they believed that when Juice was told the police were awaiting his arrival, he began taking more and more of the items in an attempt to hide them from the authorities. The plane was rented in Juice WRLD's name. This means all the illegal items on the flight would be put on him when law enforcement searched the jet, which resulted in lawyers figuring out what the charges charges would have been for Juice WRLD using a private jet to transport 70 pounds of extracurricular items, 2 illegal firearms, and other items that were in Ali's handbag, as a prison sentence for that would have been a maximum of 25 years inside of a federal prison. When you add all of that together, mixed in with the nerves of knowing law enforcement is waiting for your jet to land, it resulted in Juice's heart going into overdrive, which is what caused the incident. When it happened, the ambulance was called, where witnesses claim Juice WRLD was then transported to emergency care, where sadly he passed away. But while paramedics were helping Juice, the canines were going through his luggage. The dogs were quick to sniff out the illegal items, which raised the question of why Juice would even attempt bringing this onto a plane. It would be later revealed that he brought these items on the flight due to him having a birthday party coming up in the following day.
Weekend, we're going to Chicago to celebrate his birthday. It was just his birthday the other day, but we're going this weekend, Saturday. We're flying out there. We're gonna have a birthday party with his mom and family and friends and stuff like that from out there. So,
as with Juice WRLD passing away, 2 of the rapper's security guards were then also arrested at the scene for the firearms, with later Juice's photographer being arrested and booked with charges of a misdemeanor firearm violation. With an investigation in place, rapper Boosie suggested the pilot of the plane was ultimately responsible for the passing of Juice WRLD. But here's where it gets very strange. Many believe this was all a setup for Juice WRLD to finally distance himself from the spotlight. One tweet before he passed away wrote, "My goal is to get overly famous, shine for a couple of years, and then fake my passing." However, it was in his song Legends, which is what really sparked the theories of him still being alive. In Juice WRLD's song Legends, he delivers the chilling line of, "What's the 27 club? We ain't making it past 21. This lyric has become one of the most discussed after his death, especially since Juice WRLD passed away just 6 days after turning 21. However, the song was originally a tribute to XXXTentacion and Lil Peep, 2 young artists who also died unexpectedly, where X died at the age of 20, while Lil Peep died at the age of 21. Juice WRLD's lyrics not only referenced their deaths, but it also eerily foreshadowed his own fate, reinforcing the tragic pattern of rising stars in hip-hop dying before reaching their prime. However, the signs were already there, as there was one particular interview that was wiped off of the internet where Juice WRLD had an interview with a man named Adam Bomb. He left off nodding during the show and completely falling asleep while on extracurricular items.
On the fence about it.
Yeah.
So
Juice WRLD on the Adam Bomb Show. We just added Lucid Dreams, man. That single and that track that we're playing right now. Hey, give me a little bit one on Lucid.
However, nothing is creepier than Juice's lyrics about John Lennon, and let me explain. In his song titled All Girls Are the Same, he raps the lyrics, "I'm a jealous boy, really feel like John Lennon." Now at first this might seem like another name drop, but when you look closer, something very strange begins to show, as Juice WRLD died on December 8th, 2019. This is the exact same date that John Lennon died on December 8th, 1980, just 39 years earlier. That alone makes a lot of fans stop and wonder if it was a coincidence or something more. But Juice WRLD didn't just randomly mention John Lennon. He said that he felt like him. Using the words jealous boy, this could mean that he was talking about the emotional or struggling with feelings, something similar that John Lennon struggled with and also talked about in his own music. Some people even point out that both artists were known for speaking their minds and being different from others in their music style. They were also both very young when they died, Lennon being 40 and Juice WRLD being just 21. But the connection between the lyrics, the date, and the emotions in their music might mean that Juice WRLD saw himself as the new version of John Lennon. However, rappers' reactions to Juice's death also made a lot of people feel weird, as before sharing his own reaction, Benny Blanco would share a never-before-seen Juice WRLD interview on how he got into music.
music has pretty much been a factor in my life, like my whole life, like low-key from like 2 years old on. My cousin told me he used to blast music around me, like Wu-Tang, and I would just like rap the lyrics, like mumble the lyrics, not even knowing what I was saying, just kind of like mumbling like the cadence of the song. That's how it started. My junior year in high school, I was like, yo, this is like what I want to do. Like I used to like freestyle with my neighbors, They were like about to graduate high school, and I was like in junior high, keeping up with them. And at first, I used to want to be like Eminem or like Tyler the Creator. I used to say like wild to get people's attention and just try to come up with the most wildest punchlines and wordplay, trying to be as clever as possible.
This ends up connecting with the words that Benny shared about Juice WRLD during this interview.
He goes in and does the entire song from start to finish, the whole song, the entire thing. So he does the whole song and he goes, all right, run it back again. Pick the best one. In that moment, my jaw dropped. And I said, oh, I'm in the room with a superstar.
But Eminem being on the first song in his newest album was very important to Juice WRLD. Juice took a lot of inspiration from Eminem, which is why it was a special moment when Eminem gave heavy praise to Juice for his talents.
Yo, shout to Juice too, man. Like, yo, that kid was so talented, man. He, like, his freestyle he did on Westwood where he rapped for an hour, like, what the? That's the that we used to try to do at the hip-hop shop.
As Eminem wouldn't finish it here, he would also talk about Juice WRLD in another interview.
To be so young, he like mastered that so quickly. Like his potential was so off the chart.
However, the words from Lil D would also really reveal how talented Juice WRLD was.
You know who the best freestyle I've ever seen is? Yeah. Juice WRLD. Have you ever seen his freestyles?
Yeah.
They're never ending. Like, you can do it for like an hour. And
yeah.
He makes total sense the entire time and is actually really like good, like intricate flow patterns. Like to me, he was the best freestyle I've ever seen.
We would then even hear from G Herbo, who's a longtime friend of Juice WRLD.
Man, I don't know. You know, that was my real little brother, bro. So it's like, man, I don't know. We still, we dealing with that day, to be honest, man. It's still, of course, I'm not even gonna say I don't think, it ain't even been a day he ain't crossed my mind in some form or fashion, you know what I'm saying? So
to even Post Malone sharing,
I wasn't necessarily close with him, but I got to speak to him, a couple times, and just the sweetest guy. And
what really surprised fans is when Tekashi 6ix9ine would reveal on IG Live that the two resolved their beef with each other after Juice WRLD had reached out to him.
Look what Juice WRLD said. This is one reason I respect Juice WRLD, right? This is when I was clowning him. He messaged me. Look, Juice WRLD wrote me and said, yo, that video's so funny, I can't stop watching it. And you know what I said? I said, yo, call me. He said, you taking over the world. I said, peace, king. He said, what's your number? I sent it.